situation for those people receiving SNAP benefits, obviously the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program. I want to share with you what happened overnight, why this is good for food stamp beneficiaries, but I also want to come back here in this live stream and spend a little bit of time with you because I've had a number of people reaching out to me so far today, late last night, overnight. I've had a few emails rolling in. I've seen a channel on this, and I want to know what happened overnight, how this is good for beneficiaries. But I also want to say this, it's not over yet. It's definitely not over yet. We've got a lot of time to go here. Well, okay, I shouldn't say a lot of time. It's not going to be a lot of time, but it's definitely not over yet. And I've seen the headlines out there just as much as you have. And again, this is causing a lot of confusion, which is why I wanted to spend some time with you here in this live stream to talk about what happened overnight, what they passed, why this is a really, really good thing for food stamp beneficiaries. And what else we need to know about it, as well as just clarify and tell you exactly what we can expect today and the next couple of days here, and what this also means for your full food stamp benefit to be distributed for the month of November, and again, retroactive pay. We got a lot of things here to talk about. Okay, so let's go in chronological order, just going back to last night. Okay, I'm not going to go way back. I mean, honestly, it's been a total mess over the last several days. I'm just going to go back to late last night. Okay. Here's what happened. The Senate, they were in session. They started at 8 p.m. They were in session. It took them forever. But late last night, they passed a procedural vote to continue to open up negotiations on basically the funding bill to reopen the government. Okay. Now, what do you need to know about this? There's been a lot of headlines out there. I've seen them just as much as you have. Oh, the Senate votes to reopen the government. So a lot of people are reaching out saying, I heard the government is reopened. Are we still in a shutdown? Yeah, we're still very much in a shutdown right now. They voted to basically vote on the opening of the government. Okay, it's a procedural vote. Basically what I've been describing it as, it's a practice vote. It's kind of like a warm-up. Like, hey, everybody here, anybody want to support this thing? It's basically just a vote to see like, hey, should we open this thing up for negotiation? Should we open this up for further action on this thing? Or is this thing just not going to go anywhere? So that's what they did. This was not a vote to reopen the government, but rather it was just, like I said, kind of a practice vote. You can look at it that way. So we're still very much in a government shutdown right now. The government is still shut down. And to be honest with you, it's probably going to still be shut down in the next, I'm going to say 3, 5, 7 days. We're probably still going to be in this government shutdown. At the end of this week, we will likely, very highly likely, still be in a government shutdown for the next, again, 5 to 7 days, give or take a little bit. Okay, but why do we want to focus on this? Couple things that I want to point out. Okay, so I'm not going to share I'll just tell you really quickly. It's not that big of a deal. So here's what happens. The end of September every single year, lawmakers are supposed to come together and pass a dozen bills. Okay, basically what they do, it's a dozen bills where they appropriate funding for the following year. They package it all up as basically one big bill. It's the following fiscal year federal budget, and they pass it as one. It's supposed to be done at the end of September. If they don't do it, then we go into a government shutdown, exactly as we experienced this year. They didn't do the federal budget for 2026. We're in fiscal year 2026 right here, right now. And because of their lack of action, we're in the government shutdown. Okay, anyway, there's a dozen bills that are all kind of packaged together into one. But here's the good news about this, and why I mentioned this passing overnight is actually a really good thing, because this whole time they've been held up in the Senate where they haven't been able to come together on this and get a solution, for the last, 41 days now? Is that what it is? Yeah, it's 41 days now. That's why I've been in the government shutdown. But anyway, here's what they did do. Within this extension, it's not a full year funding bill for the federal government, but rather it's all it is a short-term extension out until January 30th to reopen the government until January 30th to give them more time to figure out the full year funding bill. But here's the good news about it. Remember a minute ago, I said that there's a dozen bills that they packaged together as the full year funding bill. Within this, what they did is they pulled out 3 appropriations, one of which is full year funding for the Department of Agriculture, USDA, United States Department of Agriculture. That's what that is. Why do we care? Because that is the major federal department that oversees the SNAP program. Remember, that's who's having the money issues right now. They're broke. They don't have any money appropriated for the new year, which is why we are having this food stamp situation in the very first place. Long story short, last night when they voted on this, the practice procedural vote, the warm-up vote on this, we had, there were 8 Democrats that came and voted on this, okay? Generally, they've been voting mostly against it, okay? Anyway, the votes came in 60 over 40. In the Senate, that's a pass, right? You need 60 votes in the Senate, and that's exactly what they did. They got 60 votes. That's exactly what they needed. So this practice warm-up vote passed. What that shows us is that there is support, bipartisan support, at least enough to get this passed. So when they move forward, at some point in the next couple of days, today, tomorrow, whenever it happens to be, and they move forward with an extension to open the government for a little bit of time for the next roughly 2.5 months, out until January 30th, encompassed within that extension is going to be a full year funding bill for the SNAP program. That's what they did. They've attached 3 full year appropriations, one of which being for the Department of Agriculture, to fund the food stamp SNAP program until the end of September 2026. That's the good part about this. So even though, to be 100% fair, we could go right back into another government shutdown at the end of January. We could go into another government shutdown. But here's the best part about it. If we go into a government shutdown and they pass it as is, and they don't tinker around and remove anything out of this, if they pass it as is, as they've already had support on this for, then there will be sufficient funding within their pass to completely fund food stamps, the SNAP program, out until the end of September next year. We would not have this lack of funding or lapse in benefits as we're experiencing right now in November. That would not happen again at the end of January in the event that another government shutdown happens. I feel like let her shut down all you want. It's not going to impact food stamps. It's not going to impact SNAP. Obviously, it's going to impact other things. Some of the other industries that are being impacted right now, those would still be impacted. Food stamps, SNAP would not be impacted anymore. There'd be enough money for like the next, however many months that is, I don't know, 10.5 months, give or take a little bit. That's the best part about this. There's a very high likelihood that they're going to have this thing passed sometime within the next couple of days. Does that mean that we reopen the government? Not quite so fast. Here's why, okay? There's way more to this story than what a lot of the big headlines are out there are saying. They're saying, oh, Senate passed to reopen the government. True, but the government is still shut down, and it's going to be for several more days. Here's what also needs to happen. The House of Representatives has been on recess for the last 8 weeks. The last 2 months, the House of Representatives has been on recess. They're not even in Washington. They would have to come back, and they would have to vote on this again. Because back in, well, I don't know, when was it? September? Is that what it was? Early September, something like that. Whenever they voted on it, they voted on a piece of legislation to keep the government open. That is not the same piece of legislation that the senators are voting on right now. It's different. Therefore, anytime that any changes come in, when one chamber passes it and the other chamber amends it, it needs to be repassed by the other chamber once again. What that means is that the current piece of legislation that lawmakers in the Senate are currently working on is not going to go straight to the president's desk. It needs to go to the House of Representatives to be passed there again before it can go to the president's desk. If the House of Representatives amends it in any way, shape, or form, it has to go back to the Senate and be re-voted on and repassed again before it goes to the president's desk, getting a signature, turning it into law, and reopening the government. So do you see how we got a process upon us yet? So here we are, call it, well, practically middle of November. We probably have, to be totally real, probably, like I said earlier, another 5 to 7 days of this government shutdown, at least, assuming there's no changes to the legislation, assuming that the Senate passes it either today or tomorrow or Wednesday. If they pass it then, the House of Representatives needs to come back. They need to go through their process, which is going to take a day or 2 or 3, whatever it happens to be. And then the president has to sign it, which is going to take another, I don't know how long, maybe another day, I don't know. But you see how this is going to happen? That puts us out another week from right now, at least, give or take a little bit, right? So that's what I'm saying here, is I've seen the headlines just like you. They're everywhere. Oh my gosh, the government is reopening. And I'm like, no, actually, it's not. We're kind of far from it at this point. Okay, so we've got a lot of work to go here, as in we don't have a lot of work. Lawmakers have a lot of work ahead of them, but this is the process we still need to go through. Okay, now let's quickly go back to SNAP benefits, the food stamp program. And again, what many of you are watching this video for right now, because you want to know what's going on with your benefit. Okay, over the weekend was an absolute mess, okay? In fact, more information came out late last night. Stand by, let's talk about that in a separate video. I don't want to open up that can of worms right here in this video. I certainly could. It's a whole nother mess in and of itself. Let's talk about it later. Seriously, I'll come back in another video later. We can talk about that a little bit later today, okay? It's not super urgent at the moment, but let's just talk about food stamps, SNAP benefits for a minute here. Okay, so let's just assume in a week from right now, like, whatever the date would be then, November 17th? Yeah. Let's assume in 1 week from right now, the government has been reopened. Awesome, okay? Lawmakers have appropriated all necessary money for the food stamp program. And again, I'm just projecting out a week from right now, anticipating, assuming that the government has reopened, they've come together on their differences, and they've reopened the government in 1 week from right now for November 17th. That's 1 week from today, okay? So with that being said, what that would mean is that now all the money is there for food stamp beneficiaries. Okay, so for those beneficiaries that have received nothing so far for the month, you would then get your payment relatively fast. It's going to come down to a couple different factors. Number one, how fast does the money get appropriated to USDA? I'm going to say this much probably pretty quickly. But then how long does it take for your state to come in and get the necessary money for all the beneficiaries within your respective state? That's a big question mark. We don't know because it's going to be different between all the states. And then how long does it take for your state to distribute that money to you and all of the other SNAP card holder or the other SNAP beneficiaries and EBT card holders? How long does that take? So realistically, assuming that this government opens in the next week, okay, by 1 week from today, the government is reopened, you would likely see your full SNAP benefit, well, probably, I don't know, mid to late next week sometime at that point. Now you might be thinking, but wait, I already got some of my benefit. I got a partial payment. What about me? This comes into the retroactive aspect of this. At that point, they would need to pay you your additional payment, whatever that happens to be, right? Depends on how much you already got. They would owe you the rest of that payment, the retroactive pay. How long would it take them to get that to you? Again, really good question. There's a huge question mark behind this because it really comes down to how long does it take for USDA to get that money? How long does it take for your state to get the money out of USDA? And how long does it take for your state to figure out to get that money onto your EBT card so that you have it in your possession? Do you see the problem here? We still got a lot of time to go here. This is not like a thing that's going to be done like this afternoon. It's going to be a while yet, okay? I'm just saying, I just want all of you to have the clear picture of what this really looks like right here, right now. Because again, I've said this a few times. I'm going to say it again fast. I've seen all the headlines out there making it sound like we're no longer in a shutdown. It's not true. We are still in a shutdown and will likely be in this shutdown probably another 5 to 7 days if all goes well. Remember, any one lawmaker could derail this whole agreement. Remember, they need 60 votes in the Senate. They got exactly 60 votes in the Senate with the procedural practice vote last night. If any one of these lawmakers decides to say, I don't really agree with that anymore, and they back out, now they're down to 59. They don't have enough votes. Assuming nothing else goes wrong with this, they would have the necessary votes to get this passed through and to continue on the path of reopening the government. The senators are negotiating right now. As I host this live stream right now, I was just listening in live to them talk, and I'm going to tell you this much. It is beyond boring listening to them. They are like the slowest people in the absolute world. I don't know how they can work possibly so slow. I don't know. It's just like, it's unbelievable to me that that's the speed in which they work. I just don't get it. I would be sleeping in a second if I were sitting there in that chamber listening to this chaos, or lack of chaos, more like. I feel like, man, they are so unbelievably slow. Anyway, but that's kind of the nature. So they are literally in session now, and they're talking through this. Okay, so we may have more procedural votes going on today. We'll see. I'll keep you posted with this, but I wanted you to get a very clear, concise picture of what is actually happening right now. and what this means for your food stamps. Again, I see the comments down below. I saw a ton of comments over the weekend. A lot of you reaching out saying, I got my full SNAP benefit. I got it a couple days ago. A bunch of those comments rolling in. Meanwhile, literally on the other hand, a ton of comments coming in saying, I've got nothing. This, 10 days ago, I've been saying time. The program is that, again, federally funded state ed, major problem that we have here. And again, we've been talking about this for 10 days or something like this, going all the way back to the end of October. I've been saying, if there's a problem here, if there's a problem, we're going to see a massive divide across the country. Some people are going to get their money, some people are not, and it's going to be all based on the speed of the state. And that's exactly what we are seeing right now. And it's really unfortunate. To be honest with you, this is really unfortunate. There's about a dozen states where beneficiaries have received all of their money, and there's a lot of other states out there, a lot of states, where people have received absolutely nothing so far in November. It's a really weird situation. Anyway, just want to come on here really quickly, spend a little bit of time and discuss all the details about this. Obviously, I'm watching everything very closely. If you've not done so, please consider subscribing. This situation is not over yet. It's far from over, unfortunately. I will continue to be here for you, by your side. Drop your comments, your questions, your feedback, anything like that down below in the comment section. I will do my very best for you to answer those, as well as come back in dedicated videos or live streams to answer those. Let me know. I'm here for you. Please, again, subscribe if you're new. Otherwise, stay tuned. It's going to be another very busy week. I 100% guarantee that. A lot of things, which, by the way, I had some live streams yesterday. I had a video this morning talking about the new $2,000 dividend payment that the president floated yesterday. Check out the video from this morning. I had it out just a few hours ago. Check out the live streams from yesterday. We talked about all the details. I had a morning live stream where I was talking about it hot off the wire as it was still coming across. I had another live stream in the afternoon as we dug into it further. Check out those. Otherwise, stay tuned. I'll be back with you probably in a few hours here as more information hits the wire. Stay tuned. Again, thank you so much for